Halfway through. Congratulations, everyone. Shout outs to Ben, Chris, Sarah, Tiffany for submitting the homework. For those of you who haven't, submitted at your leisure. I know it's difficult to, you have real life, you have jobs, and you're trying to do this course. I understand that. So I hope you are getting out of it the time you are putting into it. Let's go to the poll questions. SBA's mandatory 1.15 debt service coverage ratio must be calculated from the financials, projections, the tax returns, any of the above. Very good. Very good. Next question. If you are underwriting a variable rate interest rate loan, an anticipated rise in interest rates must be included in your cash flow analysis. True or false? That's actually false. You can now, if you adopt your bank policy and you do it in your conventional loans, then yes, you must do it in your SBA loans. The SOP is silent on it. I would do it. I would add an interest rate shock of 2 or 3%, but it is not mandatory. But I would do it. I would do it. I asked that question to let you know that it is not required. Next poll question. If you add back depreciation for cash flow purposes, you must also subtract anticipated equipment purchases over the next 12 months. True or false? You can go either way. I'm more on the false side because, well, both answers are correct. I believe it's true if you believe it's material and you are demanded in the SOP to do that. But you also have creativity in your analysis to not do that. We're not going to add back in $30,000 a year of office supplies. So I could go either way. Again, I would definitely do it. I think it's prudent commercial loan underwriting. It's unclear in terms of the language of if it's in terms of how to structure that, how to do it. It doesn't specifically say it. It's sort of a gray area. So I asked that question as I'm wrestling with it to let you wrestle with it. I would include it though. Franklin Brothers, that's why we devised that case to handle that problem. And this is the last one. Think about this. Which of the following has the best positive impact on Franklin Brothers cash flow? We reduce the inventory turn from 30 to 20 days. Michael gets a $100,000 Amex line of credit. We're reducing accounts receivable turn from 70 days to 40 days. We're subordinating the $165,000 debt due to the old man. Which one's the best positive? Yeah. Good. I'm glad you're paying attention. I'm glad I'm getting some of my takeaways done. So we talked about cash flow. We went through it. I got a question from someone on, hey, Bob, where were the projections? You didn't get formal projections. I just put them in the slides. I'm sort of adhering to my own advice. Remember, there's no format on what projections. They're not like that nice spreadsheet that you have in that Illinois small business development case study. And what I did is legitimate. So I did that on purpose. I gave a shout out for those of you who did the homework. It's a simple exercise. Go ahead and complete that. It appears the discussion board exercise is not working. So what I did, we did this last week, and I put it up in my LinkedIn group. If you're not a member of the LinkedIn group, go ahead and join it. It's Coleman Small Business Lending Group. And I put it up, and this is the one about, hey, we have a $900,000 piece of property, and there's a note that's due of $450, and how do we structure it? And we got 4 responses. Go ahead and put the responses up, gang. One person said, yeah, you have to do the projections to show that it cash flows, and that is legitimate. The problem that you have is if it defaults within 18 months, the Inspector General is going to say, hey, you did not make an eligible loan because there was not sufficient cash flow to repay it based on their historical tax returns or whatever we have. So that's interesting. Neil, good friend of mine, said, hey, there are other things in your toolbox. A bridge loan. This is a classic hard money loan. Hard money, 8%, 9%. We're not talking 30% rates. Do the bridge loan, get the rest up and running, then go in for the SBA. And Frank said, hey, the other option is maybe we should put on our financial consulting hats and tell mom just to rent it out, or maybe just to sell it. So I liked all those answers. Anyway, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them up, send them to me, and I will put them up, or feel free to go ahead and post them. This is from Flora regarding the 1920. And this is a question on what do we have. And it's interesting. Yesterday I attended a USDA Business and Industry Loan Program lunch presentation. It's a great program, very similar to SBA for rural businesses. And they have a requirement because it's rural, it's got to be rural. But they have gray areas that say, well, maybe you can do this. And the classic gray area is we can do a rural loan in downtown Los Angeles for the headquarters to support a warehouse out in the Mojave Desert. But he said, you have to be concerned about optics. Is that really rural? And the answer to this, Flora, is this is optics. We're mandated. We cannot do rental properties. It's difficult in this question. What are we doing? Because are we a developer, or what are we doing? So the answer is, if they're going to own it, there needs to be a separation of church and state. In other words, the SOP is pretty clear in that you cannot be your own contractor. So on this, what are we? Are we a developer? Or are we using this building ourselves? So the last point is very good. It says the debt service coverage ratio in our bank is 1.25 to 1. SBA is 1.15. Do I have to comply with bank policy? The answer is no. However, prudent lending is I would. I think 1.15 is awfully skinny, especially when we went back to the poll question about interest rate shocks. Interest rates will rise. If you're doing a 7-year loan, they will rise in the next 7 years. No, I can't tell you how much and where. No, so if you, I would be careful of going down to the bare bones. And the point of the SBA is 1.15. That's the bare bones. If you're coming in, I think Franklin Brothers were without restructured loan, we're at 1.16. That's awfully difficult. There's the very little room for error. Next. This is an interesting one. This is actually for another course, but I wanted to give it to you, and it says, hey, we have a broker who wants a 2-point loan referral fee, which would be $70,000. So if my math is right, it's about a $3.5 million loan, and he thought the maximum was $30,000. In the SOP, it's very specific. The $30,000 is for fees charged to the borrower. The reason why I wanted to bring this up is just because the broker says, hey, I want the 2%, doesn't mean you have to pay it. A number of banks out there will not pay a fee. We've done loan broker surveys. They cap them at 1%. And remember, this 2% fee indirectly is going to be charged to the borrower, perhaps a higher interest rate. So you have the right to sign off on that as the underwriter, and I'm sort of with Lance on this. I would cap it. Lance is being nice at $50,000. I'm down to the 1 point range. Now I know competitive pressures and everything else, but it's the bank that has the right to set the amount. Again, the problem with this question is, it doesn't say in the SOP. Get out of that mindset. What do you think is prudent? Is it prudent to pay someone 2%? Now, if they're acting as a business developer and they're doing all the work, perhaps. But I'm with Lance. That's pretty hard to justify. And someone, i.e. the Inspector General, is going to go in and say, you paid this person $70,000, and I think if this is an early default, you would be at risk for a repair. What do we got next, guys? We're going to go through collateral. SBA has very specific numbers we've talked about a little bit. Now we're going to go into the Franklin Brothers. We're going to tear it apart, and we're going to use SBA's collateral number crunching. So yes, the reading assignment's back. I also want you to read the SBA 7(a) loan submission checklist. Again, it's a refresher. If you're a conventional underwriter, there's items on there for SBA that you need to know. And your homework assignment is very simple. I go through this, and then go ahead and while I'm talking, write it out and upload it into Litmos. And you can do it for either Grays or Franklin Brothers. And everyone's going to be a little bit different. That's the whole purpose of going through this. By the way, I did get the answer on SBA Form 1836. I should have put it up. It's a statement by the bank that there was no lobbying with respect to the loan. It's only certified by the bank. So if you don't have it, you can sign them and put them back into the file. Let's make sure that we get that out to everyone. And I appreciate the question. It's only for loans over $350,000. I did not know that was buried in there. I suspect there are a number of lenders who aren't doing it. If you're not doing it, I wouldn't worry about it because you can sign it and put it in the file. Very good. Anything else, guys? Enjoy the weekend. I love the questions. Keep them coming. You're going to enjoy the collateral number crunching. And we'll see you next week in office hours. Take care.